Commercial real estate, for the purpose of this panel, is going to be dominated by investable income-producing product, typically in the developed countries, therefore the U.S. and in Europe. All right, so with the exception of somebody like Jeff, with a lot of his product in China and the rest of Asia, it's difficult to find investable income-producing real estate in some parts of the world, especially the developing nations, where much real estate activities focused on housing. You can also throw hospitality in there, which falls kind of between the categories. So as far as fundamentals of commercial real estate, I would say, listen, they are weak, and we're looking for one of your mini-peed, multi-peed shoes to drop pretty much around at least in the developed world. Right now, jobs are being lost at a decreasing pace. That's the good news. So we're seeing some recovery, but there are those of us who are the pessimists who think that there could be another leg down due to the withdrawal of the methadone. We were on the cocaine, now we're on the methadone, and let's see how we do when that's removed from our system. And so I'm very concerned about jobs and household formation in the developed countries, which drive so much of our real estate. So we don't see pricing power in the U.S. or in Europe in favor of the landlords. We see the pricing power in the face of tenants. Those of you who are negotiating for office space or negotiating for retail space or negotiating for a rental apartment, pretty much in the U.S. and in Europe, just throughout, you're still able to drive a bargain. And I don't see that improving. I do see that the credit markets have improved, and that is doing something to buoy capital values for the moment, but we can get into that later. So I distinguish between the fundamentals and the capital markets. Okay.
Jeffrey?
Yeah, I think Barnes summed it up pretty well. If you look around the world, and different parts of the cycle, in different geographies around the world. Clearly in China, the downturn was significant, but not the way it was in Europe or the U.S. or the Americas or in Europe. We saw leasing slow in the first quarter. There never was an official recession, but people were scared to make any sort of decision. I mean, clearly our leasing volumes of new space went down 60, 70%. Q1, January, February, were very slow. They're now back up to record levels. We're 150% of our leasing velocity that we were pre-Lehman crisis. That's a combination of the economy coming back strong, a lack of competition, and quite frankly, a strong management team on the ground, good product, and doing the right things from an execution standpoint. You compare and contrast that to something like Japan, where things are a little bit slower. We've been in a defensive posture there, maintaining a high occupancy, 99% plus occupancy. So there's still activity, there's still ability, but you've got to be more defensive. You're not taking a very aggressive stance there. Go to Europe. Central Europe has been very, very difficult. Eastern Europe's been more difficult than that. And it's going to be a while. You have the Dubai situation doesn't help emerging markets at all. It's harmful because now you've got people, credit watch or worse on Greece and other countries that had lesser credit profiles. And that's going to, the impact of that, if you look at the impact that a financial institution had on the world economy a little bit over a year ago, think about the impact that a country potentially could have. You're talking about another shoe dropping, that could be extremely significant. In the US, the credit markets have loosened up more than I ever thought they would over the last 3 weeks. It's pretty incredible.
Stunning.
Borrow cheaper than I think Barton and I ever remember in our careers today. That being said, it's at reasonable leverage levels. It's not at 80, 85%, so that those that are highly levered, it's not going to help them because there's a huge equity gap still, because you've got values down 35%, potentially going lower, as Barton said. And you had people that leverage 85%. Well, guess what? It's pretty simple math. If you had 85% leverage and your values go down 35%, you've got negative 20% leverage, and somebody's only willing to lend 60% on the new value. There's a massive amount of equity needed. That being said, it could be painful. The sooner we go through that pain in the U.S., reset the bar, the better off everyone's going to be, and you move forward. And it's kind of like RTC days all over again.
Great. How cheering.
Yeah.
Let me just touch on one point you made about you mentioned the Greek credit rating. What to a private investor or an investor with a global posture? What does the credit rating of a country, of its sovereign debt issuance, have to do with buying an office tower downtown Athens?
Well, you want to get clearly you want to be at a spread over the sovereign debt because you're in that currency. When I first went to Mexico in 1995, 96, there was a 500 basis point spread between U.S. Treasuries and Mexican Treasuries. Okay, so you assumed at that point if the good industrial asset was a 8.5 or a 9 cap in the U.S., commensurate asset in Mexico should be 14, 15. I mean, you're taking that same it's a sovereign risk issue. Mm-hmm. That was one proxy for pricing it. All of a sudden, when assets in Mexico were the same price, were within 50 bips of U.S. assets, that was a problem. I mean, people forgot about risk and were willing to chase 50 basis points of yield and take substantially more risk than they ever should have.
Okay.